Thanks a lot, Matthew. My name is Chris Powter. I'm the Executive Director of the Oil Sands Research and Information Network here on campus. You can see from the topic of the seminar today, we're interested in ecological resiliency, broadly speaking, within the oil sands. So OSRIN's mandate is much narrower than that. We're interested in the oil sands in particular, and specifically in the mineable oil sands. So it doesn't take a rocket surgeon to figure out that no amount of ecological resilience in a system is going to be able to withstand dropping a mine or a tailings pond or an overburden dump or even an in-situ well pad or a central processing facility on top of it. That land for a period of time is toast. So does that mean I'm done? I can go home now? No. So I'm interested in this for three particular reasons in addition to my general interest in things ecological. So first, what about the lands adjacent to those that are directly impacted by industrial developments? Are there going to be impacts there? Do we know from what, where, when, how much? And if we, if we think about that in a different way, in those areas where there aren't impacts, we need to know those because we want to have reference areas for monitoring and we want to have controls for research. So I'm also interested in how this would apply to reclaimed landscapes. We want to build productive boreal forest ecosystems. We would expect that those productive boreal forest ecosystems are going to be able to withstand the same kinds of natural influences that an undisturbed area would. So fire, drought, insects, those kinds of things. We expect them to behave the same way. If we want to do that, what are the characteristics we need to impart during construction of a reclaimed landscape that will allow them to do that? And then finally, I'm particularly interested because the Cumulative Environmental Management Association's Reclamation Working Group has put together criteria and indicators for reclamation success for mineable oil sands, and they've included in there a measure of ecological resilience for both uplands and wetlands. And so we need to know what measures are we talking about, how are we going to assess them, and how are we going to know whether or not we have successfully met those. So as you're going through today listening to the talks, I want you to think about a few things. When we talk about resilience, resilience to what? Is it resilience to man-made disturbances, so the impacts of these industrial developments? Is it resilience to the natural events that occur over time? Obviously, I think it's probably both, but we should keep in mind that there may be different characteristics that make things resilient to different impacts. And then resilience of what? Are we interested in a species? Or are we interested in a population, a community, a landform? And an interesting question, so if we can in fact design ecological resilience for a reclaimed landscape, if we design it for one particular potential impact, is that going to impair our ability to create the integrated landforms that we're interested in creating? Resilient for how long? How long do we have to have the characteristics that we create in our reclaimed landscape to provide resilience? And is there any kind of a transition from man-made resilience to a natural or inherent resilience? And then we're interested in saying, well, if it isn't resilient, what's going to happen? And is that change that occurs necessarily a bad thing? And I think we should remember that we're going to use words like change and impact throughout the day. Changes and impacts don't have to be negative. They can be positive, and we should be thinking about what the implications of those are.